watching. The channel's called Ratchet, my name's Andrew, and on this episode, I'm off to Wheels on Wednesday on a Sunday. Run the title. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, thank you for tuning back in for yet another episode. Now, some of you may be thinking this is an attack of deja vu, seeing this episode appear again. Now, I don't know what happened with the conversion of the video file, but for whatever reason, only half of the video converted. There was portions missing, so it was just a bit of a mess of a video. So I actually took it back down. I've added this intro as an explanation, and also there has been some subsequent findings with the car that I get onto after the main bulk of the video, which is me at Spetchley Park Gardens. Make sure you stay tuned past the end of that show video, because there's now a big chunk of extra information as I've had to delve into the car a little bit more to iron out a few more creases. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Leave me a comment. As always, I really enjoy reading what you guys have got to say about how the car's shaping up, how I'm tackling bits and pieces, whether I'm doing it right or wrong or whatever. So let's jump into the video, and I hope this one works out like it should have in the first place. So Wheels on Wednesday is a cars and coffee event. It's not just on a Wednesday like the name implies. They have monthly events like this one on a Sunday, and the turnout is absolutely massive. It's the last show of the year, so I really wanted to try and get the car out, get some miles on it, and start ironing out those creases. Drive over to the venue was completely uneventful. I was stuck behind slow-moving cars or tractors for most of it, unfortunately. As I drive down to the show field, I noticed the temps just starting to creep up. Nothing bad. One eye was very much on that temp gauge, and as I was waiting to be directed to a parking spot, that's when all the fun kicks off. Getting hot. Ah. So not exactly the start I wanted. Waiting in the queue, it has popped the top hose. So what I'm going to need to do, wait for it to cool down, get this top hose refitted, and then fill it up with water. Something was bound to crop up, but it's typical that the show field's filling up and I'm stranded here at the start with the backup. Looks good though, but it's just doesn't function as a car at the moment. So what I'll do is let this cool down. Like I say, I've been offered some water. It's the top hose, so it hasn't dumped all of its coolant. Yeah, and let's see if we can resurrect this show. Looking through the footage that I did record, it's clear that I need to infill a few gaps. I'm not used to being outside of these four walls, so being out and about and remembering what to record and everything with everything else going on, things just slipped by the by. So I got the hose refitted, and it turned out it was just down to user error, so my fault. Where the thermostat housing hard pipe came out and met with the copper coolant pipe, I'd not got the silicone hose, you know, evenly spaced between the two hoses. It was much more offset onto the coolant pipe side. So there was probably only, well, I'm being generous, 10 mil, maybe 15 mil gripping onto the thermostat housing, and that's why it blew off. So I got it refitted, grabbed some water, bled the system up, and everything has been perfect since. So back to the recorded footage. There is such an eclectic mix of cars here. It's such a good show to come to. Not being here for a couple of years, you kind of forget about what turns up, but we've got everything from Mark II Golfs, Lancia Delta Integrales, we've got a Rover 600, load of drift cars, load of Jap stuff, Mark I Escorts, there's, including mine, there was 3 GT40 kits. So you know, there is just a massive mix and something that appeals to everyone. Now, I've spent most of the time chatting and catching up with people, so the show's now starting to thin out, but there must have been, I don't know, 600-700 cars here maybe. It's just an incredible turnout. So I'm just having a quick once through. Some of the cars still here are so nice. So it's been great that before the show wrapped up, me and Andy, the owner of Tornado, managed to get both of our cars together for some photos taken by the photographer for the Wheels on Wednesday event. It's just been a real sort of honour to bring the car out just to chat to people, just talk about nuts and bolts, the real nerdy type stuff that's gone into this build. The show's been incredible. I hope the clips that I have taken have given you a sort of feel of what the show's all about, and I'll certainly be getting out to as many of these as possible next year. It's so well organised. So it's Wheels on Wednesday at Spetchley Park Gardens. So if you live in the Midlands or around the Worcestershire area, then you should definitely come along next year when they start. So I'm hoping, other than that little issue with the top rad hose, I'm going to get home nice and safely, get the car back in the garage and plan the next outing. So up until the next video. So I'm back in the safety of these 4 walls. It's been a week and a bit since I was at Spetchley. I've been out in the car since, and I was able to get 40 or 50 miles under my belt on a Friday afternoon. Now, it did highlight one issue that I have with the cooling, and that is in slow moving and stationary traffic like I faced on the way home from this drive out, the fans just aren't pulling enough hot air, and I pretty much, well no, I almost overheated. I had to pull over, let the car cool down before I could carry on and get home. Now I can only put that down to the fact that I've panelled out the front of the Tornado chassis, and these cars don't normally have that sort of feature. So with the fans that were previously fitted, they were made by Car Builder Solutions, and they pulled about, I think it's 620 CFM per fan. And in the previous guys, that was absolutely fine. But like I say, because I've panelled out the front end, there's just not that free air circulation. So I had to look for some more powerful, high performance electric fans. Let me show you what I've ended up with. After asking around, I was pointed in the direction of Comex fans. After looking up the specs of these pull an incredible amount of air in comparison to the old fans that were fitted, almost 3 times the amount. So I ordered up a pair of 10-inch fans, made a couple very simple brackets for each of the fans, which allowed me to bolt them to the existing radiator tabs, got them wired up, and on initial just bench testing or switching the fans on, stationary here in the garage, like I say, the amount of air that they draw is incredible. I'm hoping that fitting these new fans is going to cure the issue that I was having. Unfortunately, the weather has taken a real turn for the worst over the last week or so, and it has just been wet constantly. So there's no way I'm taking the car out in the rain. So I'm just waiting for it to dry up enough for me to get out for an hour or so and see if this has taken care of the issue. I'm hoping it has. It was certainly, like I say, never an issue beforehand. So with these high performing spec fans, you know, fingers crossed, I will have cured the problem. In other news, there have been a few little jobs that have cropped up that I've managed to get ticked off of the list. I have got a front reg plate now on the car, although it's still not the correct colours. At least there's something there should I ever get pulled over. What you won't be able to see, because the car's down on its wheels, is because I run this car fairly low, the underside of the clam has taken an absolute battering already. Now, I feel gutted, but I don't feel too bad, because A, it's self-inflicted, because stance is everything. But if you've been following along right from the start, or certainly since the car's been resprayed, you'll know that there are issues with the paint, and it will need another respray at some point to get it absolutely spot on. So in some respects, I'm kind of thinking, well, it needs to be repainted anyway, so if it gets scraped up on the underside, you know, it's no big deal. If the paint was pristine, then it would be a different story. I do want to fit a lift kit to the front of the car so I can get it down even lower, but I need to come up with a suitable plan of action, because the air cups that you can buy I don't think would work with the front suspension on these Tornadoes. So I need to get creative and possibly get something fitted over the winter. So I think that does actually wrap up this episode. Thank you for sticking with it until the end. I hope you enjoyed the coverage of Spetchley, although it was a little bit sort of piecemeal in the end. And then the catch up of what is going on with the car, ironing out those few little creases and bits and pieces. As the car evolves, you know, things are going to crop up that do need addressing. I've still got some goodies. I've still got those quad 48s sat up in the roof space to fit. Plus, there are some more goodies on the way from Tornado, so I'm looking forward to sharing those with you as well. So I think up until the next episode, I will catch you next time.